Hey everybody, this is my reflection paper presentation, and I decided to write about female leaders and the challenges that they face in various organizations across the country. Just as a little bit of background, I was in an ROTC program whenever I was in high school, and now I'm an officer's candidate in the United States Marine Corps, so I've been exposed to a lot of female military leaders growing up and in my current career field. So, starting off my paper, I wrote about my time in high school and just kind of described how the program operated, how long it had been established for 50 years, and it was a Marine Corps unit. And one of the key aspects of the unit was that the cadets were in charge of everything that we did. Community service, planning events, training the junior cadets, all of it. The instructors were just there to kind of guide us in the right direction, but we made all the decisions. We did all the inspections. We did everything. We ran everything. And my first experience of a female leader kind of being looked down upon was whenever I was a freshman in high school. So I was the junior most cadet in the program. I was 14 years old. I was probably a cadet lance corporal or something. And we had a male commanding officer and a female executive officer. And the difference between the two is the commanding officer is in charge of the big picture, and the executive officer is in charge of making that big picture happen. So the CO makes the call, the XO enforces it. And as I said, there was a male commanding officer and a female executive officer. And I started to notice pretty early on that anytime she would give orders, even though the commanding officer was actually the one giving the orders and she was just enforcing them, telling everybody what it was and this is how the CO wants it done, every time she would give the order, everybody would say, "Oh, she's a bitch, she's bossy," or worse. But if the commanding officer were to address the unit and give the same order, then he was commanding and decisive and stern and demanded respect. And I always thought that was strange because our executive officer my freshman year was fantastic. She did a fantastic job. But just because she was a woman, everyone didn't respect her as much. And so from pretty early on, I decided that whenever it was my turn to be in charge, whatever rank I received at the end of my time there, I wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to happen. And so as the years went on, sophomore and junior year, I saw the same sad story over and over again. I saw female executive officers or even commanding officers get looked down upon by their male counterparts just because they were females, even though they were capable leaders and oftentimes would outshine the male leaders. They were still looked down upon because of their gender. And so as time went on, I started to develop kind of a plan of what I wanted to do whenever it was my turn to lead, just to make sure that this wouldn't happen. And so finally, our time came around. We were seniors and we all got promoted. Myself and my peers, the ones who had made it that far, had all got promoted to the officer positions, and I was selected as the commanding officer. And one of my really close friends, I won't say her name, she was selected as the executive officer. And whenever they gave those billets out, I just knew that she was going to face the same kind of discrimination that her predecessors had. And so I really wanted to give her the opportunity to shine. And so what essentially happened is I said, XO, I want you to basically be in charge of the unit. I want you to be the figurehead. I want everybody to see you. I'm going to give the orders, but I'm going to be in the background. I'm going to be focusing on the big picture like I'm supposed to, but I want you to be there with them. And if you have any issues with anybody, let me know. And by the end of our time there, whenever we graduated, she was the figurehead of the unit. Everybody knew her. Everybody respected her. And even though some of the things that she handled were technically my responsibility, I still think that the right decision was to let her take command, because I didn't want the female leaders in the unit to be discouraged by their commanding officer just standing by while their XO is not being respected just because she's a woman. That's completely wrong. And even though I sacrificed some of the privileges of my position to make that happen, I feel like it was the right decision. And in all honesty, at the end of it, she was a better leader than I was. She's one of the best I ever encountered. And she probably deserved the position over me. But again, female leaders are kind of looked down upon. And so I think that might have played a little bit of a role in the selection process for who's going to be the commanding officer, who's going to be the executive officer, as well as all the other positions. But in the end of it all, I think she would have made a fantastic commanding officer. She did a great job, and it really broke my heart to know that subconsciously people thought of her as, oh, she's just a bossy woman, she's a shitty leader, she can't make anything happen, when in reality, she was one of the best that we ever had. And we were only 17 years old whenever this happened. I mean, by the end of it, we were 17 years old. So for a woman of that age, she was super mature and just a fantastic leader. And so I've seen, based on my personal experiences, how female leaders are treated a little bit differently than their male counterparts. And like I said, they make just as good, if not better, leaders than their male counterparts do. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great summer.